A warm welcome to all the viewers for the course Advanced Manufacturing Technology. And today myself Thiapal, Assistant Professor of Department of Mechanical Engineering, JIS College of Engineering, is going to give a brief lecture, introductory lecture on laser beam machining. Well, you all are aware of non-traditional machining process. And obviously in my first lecture of this non-traditional machining process, I have already explained that why we are preferring non-traditional machining process. Because non-traditional machining process is able to provide complex shape product with a very high accuracy for our industrial purpose. Now the most important thing is that laser beam machining, it is one of the advanced machining process that has been introduced in non-traditional machining process. And if you look at this particular process, then the thing is that with the help of the laser light, the machining operation is performed to get a high dimensional accuracy product. Electron beam machining is also one of the non-traditional machining process where basically we are using the electron beams for machining purpose. So before we go with the laser beam machining process, let's have a look at the contents. So you can see, initially we will be starting with the introduction of laser beam machining. What is laser beam machining? What is the history behind it? Next we will be discussing about the working principle of laser beam machining. And it will be followed by the mechanics of material removal. And later we are going to talk about the laser beam setup. What are the process parameters that is included for this particular machining? Then we will be discussing a little bit about the application, and then it will be followed by advantages and disadvantages of this process. Well, in this today's lecture, it will be described all in a very brief manner. So later in my next lecture of laser beam machining, we will be elaborately discussing the various mechanisms behind the material removal rate of this particular process. So now let's move to the next slide. So we were discussing about laser beam machining. Like a beam of high velocity electrons, a laser beam is also capable of producing very high power density. Basically, laser is a high coherent, that is in space and in time, beam of electromagnetic radiation with wavelength varying from 0.1 micron meter to 70 micron meter. However, the power requirement for a machining operation restrict the effectively usable wavelength range between 0.4 to 0.6 micron meter. Because of the fact that the rays of a laser beam are perfectly parallel and monochromatic, it can be focused to a very small diameter and can produce a power density as high as 10 to the power 7 watt per millimeter square. For developing a high power, normally a pulse Rabi laser is used. The continuous CO2N2 laser has been successfully used in machining operations. Now, before we go with this machining process, as a term you can see that what is this laser? So laser always stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. And the underlying work principle of laser, it was first introduced forward by Albert Einstein in the year 1970. Through the first industrial laser for experimentation was developed around in the year 1960. So as you know, if I look at the history of laser, then again the scientist Albert Einstein in the year 1970, he first introduced the industrial laser. And with the development, experimentation, it was around in the year 1960, it was generated. So as we were looking for a general introduction about laser beam machining, so what we can see is that laser beam machining, or more broadly laser material processing, basically deals with machining and material processing like heat treatment, alloying, cladding, sheet metal bending, etc. And such processes is carried out utilizing the energy of coherent photons or laser beam, which is mostly converted into thermal energy upon interaction with the most of the materials. Nowadays, laser is also finding in application in regenerative machining or rapid prototyping, as in process like stereolithography, selective lasering centering, etc. Laser beam machining, the most important thing is that very easily it can be focused by using optical lenses, as their wavelength range vary from half micron to around 70 microns. Focused laser beam, as indicated earlier, can have power density in excess of 1 megawatt per millimeter square. As laser interact with the material, the energy of the photon is absorbed by the work material, leading to rapid substantial rise in local temperature. This in turn result in melting and vaporization of the work material, and finally the material is removal. Now you can see a stimulated absorption, spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. So you just have a look here at this particular thing. This is the figure of stimulated absorption. Before you can see, and you can see after. Next we are talking about the spontaneous emission. So you just have a look here before and you see after. Next we are talking about the stimulated emission. Before you can see, and this is the figure that is representing after. Lasing process basically describe the basic operation of laser, that is generation of coherent, both temporal and spatial, beam of light by light amplification using stimulated emission. Now in the model of atom, negative charge electron rotate around the positive charge nuclei in some specified orbit path. The geometry and radii of such orbital path depends on variety of parameters like number of electrons, presence of neighboring atom, and their electron structure. Also, presence of electromagnetic field is also considered. Now each of the orbital electron is associated with unique energy level. At absolute zero temperature, an atom is considered to be at ground level when all the electrons occupy their respective lowest potential energy. The electron at ground state can be excited to higher state of energy by absorbing energy from external sources, like increase in electronic vibration at elevated temperature through chemical reaction, as well as via absorbing energy of the photon. Now in this particular figure you can see depicts schematic of the absorption of photon by an electron. It has been shown. Now the electron moves from lower energy level to higher energy level. Now on reaching the higher energy level, the electron reaches an unstable energy band and it comes to its ground state with a very small time by releasing a photon. This is called spontaneous emission. As we have discussed here, spontaneous emission. So this is the basic definition of spontaneous emission. That is, when reaching the higher energy level, the electron reaches an unstable energy band and it comes back to its ground state within a very small time by releasing a photon. So this is a spontaneous emission, and schematically the figure has been shown here. Now the spontaneously emitted photon would have the same frequency as that of the exciting photon. Sometimes such changes of energy state puts the electrons in a metal stable energy band. Sometimes such change of energy state puts the electron in a metal stable energy band. Now instead of coming back to its ground state immediately, it stays at the elevated energy state for micro to millisecond. Now in a material, if more numbers of electrons can be somehow pumped to the higher metal stable energy state as compared to the number of atoms at ground state, then it is called population inversion. Again I am repeating, in a material, if more numbers of electrons can be somehow pumped to the higher metal stable energy state as compared to number of atoms at ground state, then it is called population inversion. So here you can see, this is the upper state, this is the lower state. So this is the diagram before population inversion, and after population inversion you can see how the figure is occurring. So what I was talking is that if in a material more numbers of electrons can be somehow pumped to the higher metal stable energy state as compared to the number of atoms at ground state, then it is called population inversion. Now such electrons at higher energy metastable state can return to the ground state in the form of an avalanche, which is stimulated by a photon of suitable frequency or energy, and this is known as stimulated emission. So we have talked about stimulated emission also. Again I am repeating, that is, such electrons at a higher energy metastable state can return to the ground state in the form of an avalanche provided stimulated by a photon of suitable frequency or energy. Then it is known as stimulated emission. Now one such higher state electron in metastable orbit, and if it is stimulated by a photon of suitable energy, then the electron will come down to the lower energy state, and in turn one original photon, another emitted photon, by stimulating or by the stimulation having some temporal and spatial phase would be available. In this way, coherent laser beam can also be produced. So what is the most important thing is that if it is stimulated by photon of suitable energy, then the electron will come down to lower energy state, and in turn original photon, another emitted photon, by stimulation having some temporal and spatial phase which would be available. And in this way, coherent laser beam can also be produced. Now, if you look at the working of a laser, then what you can see? Just we have to imagine that. That is, there is a gas in a cylindrical vessel, and this gas is called the lasing medium. One end of the glass is blocked with 100% reflective mirror, and the other end is having a partially reflective mirror. Population inversion can be carried out by exciting the gas atom or molecules by pumping it with flash lamp. Then stimulated emission would initiate lasing account or the lasing action. Now this stimulated emission of photon can be in all directions. Most of the stimulated photon not along the longitudinal direction would be lost and generate waste heat. The photon in the longitudinal direction would form coherent, highly directional, intense laser beam also. So now we are talking about lasing medium. Many materials can be used for heat of the laser. Now depending on the lasing medium, lasers are basically classified as solid state and gas laser. Now what are the solid state laser? They are basically commonly three types. One is Rabi, which is chromium aluminum alloy having a wavelength of 0.7 micrometer. Another is the ND, that is the glass laser having a wavelength of 1.64 micrometer. Another is the ND, that is the YAG, which is also known as neodymium yttrium aluminum garnet laser having a wavelength of 1.06 micrometer. So if I talk about the ND glass laser, then we can obtain the maximum wavelength of 1.64 micrometer. Then we go with the ND YAG laser. It is consisting of wavelength of 1.06 micrometer. And if I talk about the Rabi, which is chromium aluminum alloy, which is having the wavelength of 0.7 micrometer. Now these are the solid laser and they are generally used in material processing. And if I talk about the gas laser, then basically helium and neon is there, argon is there, and CO2 is there. Now laser can be operated in continuous mode or pulse mode. You can go with the continuous mode also, you can go with the pulse mode also. But typically CO2 gas laser is operated in continuous mode and ND YAG laser is operated in pulse mode. So you can see which gas is operated for the constant mode or continuous mode. Another is used for pulse mode. Now you can see a basic construction of CO2 laser construction. So you can see through here, you are passing the gas. It can be CO2, it can be N2, it can be helium. And you can see a high voltage has been provided here. Here a coolant has been provided. Okay, so this is the high voltage. This is your coolant, this is the high voltage. This is your coolant is here. Again here through this particular panel also coolant is provided. Again high voltage has been provided in the negative terminal. So there is gas also that is getting existed. So you can see gas inlet, gas outlet, high voltage positive terminal, high voltage negative terminal. coolant has been provided in both the section. From here you are inserting the coolant, and from here you are exerting the coolant. So this is the basic construction of CO2 laser. So as you can see here, the CO2 laser. So gas laser can be axial flow as it has been shown. Transverse flow and folded axial flow, it has been also shown in solid state laser. And the power of CO2 laser is typically around 100 watt per meter of tube length. Thus, to make a high power laser, a rather long tube is required, which is quite inconvenient. For optimal use of floor space, high-powered CO2 laser are made of folded design. In CO2 laser, a mixture of CO2, N2 and helium continuously circulate through the gas tube. So this you can see, this is the gas tube, and you can see you are inserting the gas through this particular portion. So continuously it has been circulating in the cylinder. Okay. Now, such continuous recirculation of gas is done to minimize the consumption of gases. CO2 acts as a main lasing medium, whereas nitrogen helps in sustaining the gas plasma. So here you can see CO2, N2 and helium, that is carbon dioxide. Then you can see nitrogen, you can see helium, but every gas has got some respective function. So what is the function of CO2? It acts as the main lasing medium. Nitrogen helps in sustaining the gas plasma and helium helps in cooling the gas. So high voltage is applied at the two ends, leading to the discharge and formation of glass plasma. So energy of this discharge leads to the population inversion and lasing action. At the two ends of the laser, we have 100% reflector and one partial reflector. So the 100% reflector redirect the photon inside the gas tube, and partially reflector allows a part of the laser beam to be issued so that the same can be used for material processing. Typically, the laser tube is cooled extremely as well. It has been already indicated earlier also, that is, carbon dioxide laser are folded to achieve high power. A similar folded axial flow laser it is. In folded laser, there would be few 100% reflective turning mirrors for monoivering the laser beam from gas supply as well as high voltage supply. So now if I talk about all the various process characteristic of different laser. So what we were talking about the CO2 laser. So you have to keep in mind that what type of CO2 laser material basically is. It is a gas type. What is the composition? Composition is carbon dioxide plus nitrogen plus helium. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen, helium ratio is 3:4:8. What is the wavelength radiation for carbon dioxide laser? It is 10.6 micron meter. What is the efficiency? It lies between 10 to 15%. Now what is the type of mode of beam it is obtained? It is pulsed or CW. Now what is the size of the spot? that has been machined by CO2 laser. It is 0.075 millimeter. Pulse repetition rate, it is also clockwise. Beam output, that is 0.1 to 10 kilowatt, and peak power is 100 kilowatt. So from this particular figure you are able to see what is the CO laser construction. It has been explained here. How it works, that has been also explained here, and I have also mentioned the characteristic of this CO2 laser before the machining occurs. So now in this particular figure you are going to see the Rabi laser. So basically this portion, this particular portion, it is known as triggering electrode. Okay. Next, this you can see, this is a Rabi rod. Okay. And this you can see, this is the flash tube. And you can see there is a capacitor. This is the workpiece, and this is the lens through which the laser has been focused and the operation has been carried out. And if you look inside this particular cylinder, you can see that this pictorial view has been represented through this 3D diagram. So you can see this is these arrows are showing you the laser beam. These are the photons. You can see this red portion, these are the photons. This is the Rabi rod. This cylindrical bar that you can see, this is the Rabi rod. And this tube, it is called flash tube. And there is a cooling tube also, because if you don't go for the cooling tube, then the heat will be generated more and the machining process can be affected too. Here you can see a partially silvered mirror is also located. So I have already told you that what is the mechanism behind the Rabi laser that is occurring. Basically, it is a pulsed Rabi laser. A coiled xenon flashing tube is placed around the Rabi rod, and the internal surface of the container walls is made of highly reflecting so that maximum light falls on the Rabi rod. And if maximum light falls on the Rabi rod, then the pumping operation starts. The capacitor is charged and a very high voltage is applied to the triggering electrode for initiation of the flash. The emitted laser beam is focused by a lens. As you can see, I have already told you this is the lens, and this is the emission laser that has been focused over the workpiece. So with the help of this lens system, the focused beam meets the work surface and removing a small portion of the material by vaporization and high speed ablation. A very small fraction of the molten metal is vaporized so quickly that a substantial mechanical impulse is also generated, throwing out a large portion of the liquid metal. Since the energy released by the flash tube is much more than the energy emitted by the laser head in the form of a laser beam, the system must be properly cooled. Again, I am repeating, that is, a very small fraction of the molten metal is vaporized so quickly that a substantial mechanical impulse is generated, throwing out a large portion of the liquid metal. And since the energy released by the flash tube is much more than the energy emitted by the laser head in the form of laser beam, the system must be properly cooled. Otherwise, there will be problem. Now, if I talk about the efficiency of laser beam machining, then I must say this is a very low process. or the efficiency is very low that has been obtained in this particular process. The efficiency varies between 30 to 50%. Okay. Next is the typical output energy of the laser is 20 joule with a pulse duration of 1 millisecond. The peak power reaches a value up to 20,000 watt. The divergence of the beam is around 2 into 10 to the power 3 radian, and using a lens with a focal length of 25 millimeter. The spot diameter becomes about 15 micron meter. Now, like the electron beam, the laser beam is also used for drilling micro holes and cutting very narrow slot. Holes up to 250 micron meter diameter can be easily drilled by the cutting or by using the laser. And the dimensional accuracy that has been obtained is plus minus you can consider 0.025. And when the workpiece thickness is more than 0.25 millimeter, basically a taper of 0.05 millimeter per millimeter is noticed. So you can see the Rabi laser mechanism with the help of this particular figure. And what is the efficiency? Efficiency varies between 0.3 to 0.5%. How much energy it has been used? What is the divergence of beam? It has been also mentioned in this particular process. Now in the next slide, we will be having a look about the process. As I have already told, flash tube is there and it can be helical or they can be flat. Now helical flash tube basically provide better pumping. Now electrical circuit is also required for operating solid state laser. And the flash tube is operated in pulse mode by charging and discharging of the capacitor. Thus, pulse on time is decided by the resistance on the flash tube, and pulse of time is decided by charging the resistance. And there is also a high voltage switching supply for initiation of pulses. Next, crystalline Rabi is material which is used for laser location. Aluminium oxide with chromium ion impurities distributed through the aluminium lactic site, that is Al2O3 plus Cr2, that is also of 0.05%. Now flash lamp is basically surrounded by the Rabi rod to produce the light. Flash lamp and Rabi rod are also enclosed in the cylinder. I have already explained in the figure. Now the cylinder has a high reflective internal surface also, and this surface direct light from the flash lamp into the rod. Now this light excites the chromium ion of Rabi crystal to a high energy level. While on return journey of the normal state, this excited ion at energy level release the photon or energy. Thus, desired energy is obtained in the form of short duration pulse. Now, we are going to have a brief look about what are the application of this laser beam machining. So, as you can see, laser can be used in wide range of manufacturing application and non-traditional machining, and we are preferring the laser beam machining, that is because there are few advanced machining process like laser beam machining, electron beam machining. They are mostly preferred for machining because the machining is done so fast and little bit according to the requirement of the product. This machining is also implemented. So if you want to remove the material, then with the help of the laser, you can go with drilling process, cutting process and trepanning process. Okay. And if you go with the laser, you can also perform laser welding also. Again, laser, with the help of laser, you can do the cladding also. So with the help of laser, not only you can do the material removal like drilling, cutting, trepanning, you can also perform the welding operation also. You can also perform the cladding operation. Now drilling micro-sized hole using laser is difficult, and also to machine material, which is most dominant application in industry too. In laser drilling, the laser beam is focused over the desired spot size. For thin sheet, pulse laser can be used. And if you want to go with the thicker one, then continuous laser may be used. So there is type where which type of laser has been preferred. If the thickness of your sheet is thin, then always pulse laser can be used. But if you go with the thicker one plate or thicker sheet material, then continuous laser must be used. So now we will move to the next slide. As I have already told you that every process has got some advantages and disadvantages. So laser has also got some advantages as well as disadvantages too. In laser machining, there is no physical tool. Obviously, there is no physical tool because you are focusing the laser with the help of lens. Thus, no machining force or wear of the tool take place. Already in ECM also same thing happened. No wear of tool occurs because the tool is not coming in direct contact with the workpiece. Now, the advantage is that large aspect ratio in laser drilling can be achieved along with acceptable accuracy or dimension as well as form or location. So the aspect ratio for laser drilling is quite larger and you can achieve acceptable accuracy or dimension also from a location. Now micro holes can also be drilled in difficult to machine material. Now though laser processing is a thermal processing, but still heat affected zone, especially in pulse laser processing, is not very significant due to shorter pulse duration. Again I am repeating, laser processing is a thermal processing, but heat affected zone in pulse laser processing is not very significant due to short pulse duration. If the duration of the pulse is more, then probably it would have been a significant factor for pulse laser processing. But since the duration of the pulse is shorter, that's why pulse laser processing is not very significant for heat affected zone. So these are the advantages of using laser beam machining. Now we will move to the next slide where we are going to talk about the limitation. Well, I have also stated that every process has got some advantages, some limitations or disadvantages. More or less everything is associated with every process. So now let's have a look for the limitations. High initial capital cost. Obviously you are using laser, so the cost will be obviously initially high. So the cost of the laser itself is too high. So just imagine this cost of the setup. When you are using laser, such a costly material along with the costly setup, that means your maintenance cost will be also high. But the limitation is it is not very efficient process. Why it is not very efficient process? Because I have already told efficiency varies between 0.3 to 0.5%. This is the efficiency percentage. So you can see that it is not very efficient one. The presence of heat affected zone, it occurs if you go with gas assist CO2 laser cutting. If you go with gas assist CO2 laser process or cutting, then you can obtain heat affected zone. Limitation is that it is a thermal process. not suitable for heat sensitive material like aluminum, glass fiber, laminate. So since again I am repeating, it is a thermal process, thus it is not suitable for heat sensitive material like aluminum, glass fiber, laminate. So these are the miscellaneous application you can have a look here, and that has been told laser beam machining has been employed for both micro machining as well as macro machining. Now, three-dimensional laser machining process utilizing two laser beam for operations like threading, turning, grooving. Now, threading, turning, grooving you might have heard in the lathe operation, which is a very conventional method of performing this operation. But if you want to do with the three-dimensional laser beam machining, then what you have to do? You have to use two laser beam for this operation, for threading, turning, grooving, etc. And it has been also employed also to perform this operation. Now during 3D cutting, two independent lasers are simultaneously used to cut the two grooves which are moving closer to each other. And when these two grooves converge, a volume is cut off without being melted, vaporized. So when you are using to cut the two grooves converge, the volume is cut off without being melted or vaporized. So this is a turning and thread cutting operation, and this is the milling operation where you can see a grooving is occurring. So this is the material removal that has been occurred here, and you can see this is the beam. So you can see two beam has been focused. This is one and this is another one. And you can see this is the cut that has been occurred here. This is your workpiece. Now for turning and thread cutting, you can see this is the thread cutting, it is occurring, and this is also one beam and this is also one beam, and this is the material removed from this particular workpiece, and you can see the job is getting rotated. So already in this lecture I have stated the basic principle of Rabi laser machining as CO2 machining. So in my second lecture for laser beam machining, we will be discussing elaborately about the material removal process of this particular machining, that is laser beam machining. So if you like the video, then please subscribe my channel and like the video, and please stay connected so that in the next lecture you can have a great idea regarding the mechanism of laser beam machining. Thank you. Thank you very much.